So first I'm going to show you all of the items that we are going to need to design and create this. The first thing that I used is burlap, and the burlap was to cut both the hats. I used 2 sticks, paint sticks. You can use a paint stick. These sticks are 9.5 by 5/8, and I have 2 of these. The paddle cutting board from Dollar Tree. The stickers that I used on the Scarecrow's hat was I just pulled off the sunflower that was on top of this. These are 3D. I just pulled off the flower to that, which was that. For the transfer that I rubbed onto here, also you can get those rub-on transfers at Dollar Tree. I also have a bunch of just transfers from Redesign, so that's where I used for my sunflower on this side. You're also going to need some raffia, which I just used and cut up for the bottom of the Scarecrow. What I used for the scarf on the Snowman was just yarn that I just hot glued. Again, I'll show that as we're going along. And these flowers that I have, I had purchased from Hobby Lobby, and all they are is a piece of burlap and a little flower that I stuck on top to do that design. You're also going to need a piece of buffalo check, which I just had for a piece of ribbon, so I just cut that. 2 small pieces of burlap, which we're going to paint, which was what I used to make the little wear mark on the Snowman and both on the Scarecrow. The paints that I do use, and again, you could use whatever paints you want other than the face part, those should really be acrylic. I use Dixie Belle, and the colors that I did use for these is Dixie Belle, one was Florida Orange. I used DIY Summer Crush. I used DIY Weathered Wood. I used DIY White Swan, DIY Little Black Dress, and I did use some beadboard of DIY. It was lightly, it wasn't much. And Dixie Belle Pine Cone. Again, you could use whatever color paints that you want. Again, I like using chalk paint when it comes to working on plastic. I like using DIY paint, period, on whatever I create. If it's going to be outside, I seal it. The colors I used for the face was black, apple barrel, and for the eyes I used Folk Art Blue Pearl, and I used just regular white and appleberry and orange in the appleberry. I think I covered everything that we're going to need. So I'm going to set this on the side, and I'm going to go step by step on how I did it. What I'm going to try to do, because I've never done this before, is I had faces that I had gotten a long time ago. I think they were SVG files or I don't remember, but I did trace them, and I'm gonna put them on my Facebook page so y'all can take a screenshot of it and print them. And I'm gonna show you exactly how easy it is to get them onto the board to do this. So I'm gonna give you the measurements on the face so that when you do go to print it, you'll know exactly. The Scarecrow is 4 by 5. Again, that's just for when you go to print the piece of paper. And the Snowman's face was approximately 4 5/8 by 4 1/2. Okay, I forgot one thing, so bear with me. To apply the face, after we're done painting, I used carbon paper to transfer my drawings onto the cutting board. So first off, what we're going to do is we are going to paint the paddle board, cutting board. I'm going to set that on the side. Again, this is pre-recorded, so once I post it, if anyone has any questions or comments, please drop them in the link below, and I will answer them as soon as I see them. I'm just going to add a little of the beadboard of the DIY. Again, I'm just going to do it lightly with the beadboard. And again, it just gives it a little more contrast. So, I think you could see that. How it's just a little different, but it's contrasted or blended. Then we're going to go ahead, do the same thing on the other side, but we're going to do it with we are going to use the weathered wood, and I'm going to use some Florida orange. So once you got the brown down, you're going to take, again, I'm using Florida Orange by Dixie Belle or Summer Crush, whichever, again, whatever color you prefer is fine. And I did that with a dry brush. I just lightly, again with a dry brush. I just lightly went back and forth. Again, that's just so it gives a texture. Push it around. Again, I did a dry brush. And if you think that, again, this is with DIY paint. If you think that you got too much on, if you just wet it, I'll show you. If you just lightly wet it, it'll get rid of that bold spot. Breaks it up. Won't dry like that, but it just breaks it up into the brown. Where it looks a lot more just blended. And it'll look something like that. I'm going to set this on the side and I'm going to paint the two hats and the sticks. I did the weathered wood in the Scarecrow's hat, and I did black for the Snowman's hat. Again, working with DIY, if you missed it, it waters it down and it makes it thin just to go through all of the burlap. Again, I did the other one in the weathered wood for the Scarecrow. Set that on the side for that to dry. And I'm going to take one of my sticks and paint that in Summer Crush. I did paint the other stick black. It is going to be covered by the black and white checker. I just painted it just in case it did bleed or show through or anything. I took my black and just brushed it over lightly over the orange. Again, just to give it like a worn look. Okay, they're all good and dry. Now the messy part. What I did is I took the burlap and I pulled some of the strings, so it looks like the hat's all frayed and worn. You can see all that, and I'm just trimming it. fold a few pieces so it looks like it's tethered. I didn't do too much on the Snowman's hat, just the Scarecrow's. So when you're done, it looks like this. And then what I did, we'll wait on that. I was gonna say we could apply the burlap patch, but we won't do that until we get the hat on straight. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna put the hats on to give us where we're going to put the face. I like it about here. So I'm going to go about in that spot for the Scarecrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly adhere my hat. I'm just going to put a little, in case I have to move it for some reason, a little of the hot glue. And now we're going to line up the Snowman hat the same way. Again, you want to try to stick with your pattern of your hat in front so it doesn't show when you flip it. I'm hoping I'm explaining that correctly. But you don't want to see two hats when you flip it. One lower, one higher. Again, don't forget to place your face. I like it in this spot. I think it's going to be pretty good here. There. Hot glue on that on. Again, I did not do the whole thing, and just in case we have to move it. Trim that just a little bit. I think that looks good there. Again, you need to line your sticks up so when you flip it, you're not seeing sticks on each side, or one lower, one higher. And remember, when you do the side on the Scarecrow side, you want your hat up a little so it shows the little wrinkle of his hat. So I think we're going to go with that because that looks cute there. So I'm going to adhere that stick. Again, Again, I'm just putting one strip of hot glue just in case something needs to be moved. You can glue the rest down once you know it's absolutely perfect, but I like to make sure before I glue everything all the way down. Again, you're going to line it up to your stick to your back. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I am going to adhere that onto this. The hat onto the cutting board. And that is what it's going to look like. I think what I did on my last one, which I just noticed on this one, is you can see that white. I think I only went to the stick, so just an FYI on that. And since I did not glue this all the way down, before I go any further, I'm going to fix that real fast. The brown is one thing, but with the black, that white is coming right through on that. Much better. Much better. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to take, do this the right way this time, we are going to take the snowman face, snow girl face, and we are going to take a piece of tracing paper . Again, we're going to find where we want our face, make sure the cutting board is straight. We're going to put where we want our face, make sure you want to leave it up because you're going to put your scarf. Don't set it all the way to the bottom because we're going to make our scarf, so you need to bring it up so we have a little room on the bottom for that. Make sure it's centered. All you're going to do is place your tracing paper underneath your printout, and you're going to trace it with a pencil onto the cutting board. Make sure your entire design is drawn onto your cutting board, and again do the same thing on the reverse side. before you lift it, or gentlemen, before you lift your tracing up, make sure it traced. It's hard to place it back down there when you can't see. I've done it many a times. And there it is. Easy as that, ladies. See? I'm by far not an artist. I cannot draw faces for absolutely nothing. I can trace though. So, once we got the face all traced on, we are going to, actually I gotta paint these two little pieces. We missed this. I missed this. I gotta paint this one piece of this burlap white that I missed. I'm gonna take a moment and paint that really quick. And then we're gonna go ahead and start to paint the faces. Again, I missed the patch in the beginning to paint, so I just repainted that really quick. And again, I just shredded that a little, pulled off some of the burlap strings like that. Same thing with the other piece. I did not paint the other piece side for the Scarecrow. And again, I'm just pulling off some of the pieces so it just looks frayed. I'm going to adhere those on. Same thing on the white side. I'm going to adhere this a little better now that we know it's on. Crooked, or it doesn't need to be trimmed anywhere. Then I'm going to take and apply my flower. All I used was the 3D part to this, the top piece stuck on. So just carefully pull it off. What I did is I just peeled it off the top. There's a little piece, white piece of foam under it. Just be very careful when you're pulling it off, and that's it. And that goes on the Scarecrow side. See? All I did was apply it to the piece of wood. And I'm going to give that a little hot glue once I know where I'm placing it. Again, I left the foam piece that was on there on. We're looking so far. the plaid strip. Put on. So what I did is on my piece of buffalo check, there's from the ribbon, it has a black piece of like a plastic stitching. I just lined that up to my stick, and then I went back and trimmed my piece a little just so I wasn't too short. And that's how that looks. Now we are going to start, actually one more thing. Let's take and apply our transfers. Again, you can use any transfer you want on yours. I just chose this little red flower for the one side, and I'm going to use one of the birds on the other side where the scarecrow is for this little red top part. You can use whatever you want to choose, or just leave it red. I'm just going to apply this transfer before we go any further. Then I'm going to use the bird rub-on transfer that I got from Dollar Tree on the other side. So now we're going to work on the scarecrow's face first. And again, I'm using Appleberry Black. I'm going to do the orange on the nose before we paint the black around it. Again, ladies, it was that easy. Just paint what you trace, just like a coloring book. I have made so many creations, so many designs, just taking a picture that you see or you love, and all I do is trace it on. And if you don't even have carbon paper, I don't know how it'll work with the brown, but if you just scribble on the back of your drawing with just a dark leaded pencil, sometimes that'll help you trace it too. It's not always that easy on a darker surface, but if you want to draw something on a lighter surface, just scribble the back of the piece of paper with a pencil really dark and flip it over and trace away. Again, ladies, gentlemen, I am no face painter, but I think it turned out pretty cute. We are going to do the same thing on the other side. There you have it for the snowman. Now we are going to add the raffia to the bottom, and I wish I had some tree skirt left because this is time consuming. Okay, I cut a whole bunch of pieces of raffia, and on the one side where we're going to put the scarf, I glued some pieces along on this piece, on the bottom piece. Okay, so y'all have an idea. I used the small thin line that's on the bottom, just this little line, to glue a little row of the raffia. And the reason I did it on the front of this side, and I'm going to do it on the back side too, is so it looks fuller. That's the only reason I did that. But again, they sell grass skirts. I just don't have one today to do it quickly with. I wish I did. Then I just took a few stray pieces and I popped them up in this hat. You can see where I'm going with putting the raffia at the bottom. And then all I did with the scarf piece was I took a piece, and all I did was I went from there and I just rolled it back and forth. Did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 8 lines, passings back and forth. I grouped all the yarn together. And all I did was take my hot glue and go over my lines I didn't go all the way to the end where we're gonna snip it, so it looks like the frayed edges to the bottom of a scarf or the end of a scarf. And I did the same thing to make the circle that goes on the other side, like the knot in the scarf. I did the same thing with that, but I just kept turning it and turning it. I'll show you here in a minute. It's hard to see with me spinning this. Once the glue, the hot glue has completely dried on both the little circle that you made and the scarf, you just take the ends of the scarf and you clip all these little circles at the one end. You're going to take and apply, everybody can see that, you're going to take and apply the scarf to as low as you can get it to the raffia. Again, you're going to trim that up a little, and you should not be able to see it on the other side. You'll still see the raffia. We're going to glue on our little knot as if you were to knot the scarf. That dry. We're going to take our piece of burlap flour or whatever you all choose, and I'm going to glue that to the center. Make sure you let that dry before we start trimming the raffia. And again, all we're going to do is trim that raffia so you don't see it. Don't go too far, because on the other side your scarf is hidden. Actually, I should have moved this over a little more so it's not so sticking out. But I didn't finish my raffia that's sticking out this way. And again, just do it, make sure you do it uneven. Don't do it even. And try not to cut the pieces that you laid in the front. Again, you're just trimming the little pieces that you could see hanging below the scarf. Now you don't see any of them hanging below the scarf. And you still see it on the other side. Again, we're gonna put some more raffia sticking out this way so you won't see this. Again, you're just gluing it to the outer little end of the cutting board. I did too is I shredded these. I went and ripped them once they were a little more dry, so they just looked more shredded up. And it just makes it look a little fuller. And then you're going to go ahead and trim your strings on the side so you don't see them sticking out as much as they are. So just, and again, do them different lengths. There you have your Scarecrow. And there you have your Snowman. Again, if you see any little pieces sticking out, you trim that. There you have your Snowman on one side. And there you have your Scarecrow on the other side. So now you have a fall decor and a winter decor. I'd like to thank each and every one of you that all gave your beautiful and wonderful comments. It meant the world to me. And I just hope that you all like and follow my page. More lives. It's a little scary to me, but I'll overcome it. But again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all of your wonderful, wonderful comments. Everyone have a great day and a great week, and I'll see you real soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.